The first time I ever drank, I got plastered, and I just remember being like, oh my gosh, I don't feel insecure. I don't have to worry about what I look like. I don't have to worry about what other people are thinking of me. I fell in love with that feeling. I fell in love with that substance, and it became everything to me. I tell people like alcohol was my first love. It truly was. I thought that it helped me love myself. I thought that it helped me love other people better. And obviously that was a big lie. My childhood was pretty normal growing up. I grew up in a very Christian household, very strong believers as parents. They raised me really, really well.
JoJo was the sweetest little baby. Barely cried. When she cried, it was a novelty. And I remember on her 10th birthday, sitting down next to her, saying her prayers, saying goodnight, and saying, JoJo, I don't think I've had to have a crossword with you in 10 years. And after my oldest daughter and then my youngest son that were difficult as children, JoJo was just a breeze, people pleaser.
Everyone wanted to be Joe's friend, but Joe was always trying to make sure her friends liked her, which is something we never really checked in on in her younger years, but as she got older, it was something that Simone and I definitely talked about.
My mom recently told me a story about when I was 3. I used to twiddle my hair and pull it out, and I got addicted to doing that, and I would get in trouble for it. And because I couldn't stop doing it, I would hide all this hair around the house, and that was at 3 years old. I truly believe that I was born with addictive tendencies, and they came out as young as 3 years old and have been with me into my adulthood. The first time I ever drank, I got plastered, and I just remember being like, oh my gosh, I don't feel insecure. I don't have to worry about what I look like. I don't have to worry about what other people are thinking of me. It was kind of like this invincible feeling at 15, 16 years old, and it clicked for me. Alcohol means that I don't have to be self-conscious. I fell in love with that feeling. I fell in love with that substance. I tell people alcohol was my first love. It truly was.
Well, JoJo's always had a fairly addictive personality. She doesn't do things in moderation. She takes things to the extreme. So she's always had that addictive personality, runs in my family. My father's an alcoholic. His grandfather actually started AA in Australia. So we have come from a long line of addicts.
All the trouble that I got in high school, it always had to do with alcohol consumption and drinking too much. And when I was 17, I was already drinking and driving and thought that was normal and thought that was okay. I was driving my friends around drunk, and just had no regards for anyone else. As long as I had my drink, I was happy. And then fast forward to 2015, I had just graduated high school, and I was gonna start my freshman year of college. I got into a really bad crowd, and that's when I got introduced to drugs and pills, like bars, Xanax, lots of weed, and that lifestyle and the people I was hanging around with got me into some pretty dangerous situations.
Simone and I are away on a husband and wife trip up in the Georgia mountains, and we get this sporadic text that call now, JoJo's been shot.
I ended up getting shot in the back while I was driving some, I won't call them friends, who I thought were my friends home.
So we drive down the mountain, pouring down of rain, we get 4 bars, and we call my brother. JoJo's in Vanderbilt, had been flown there from Williamson County in a helicopter because she's been shot by a .45 caliber gun giving some guy a ride, and the gun accidentally went off and she got hit in the back. The bullet turned a 90-degree corner, went through her buttocks, through the car. Blood's going everywhere. These guys jump out of the car, disappear, and basically leave my daughter to die. It's a miracle today.
And that was really scary. The bullet was 1/16 of an inch away from paralyzing me completely. And that was due to the lifestyle I was living, and the lifestyle that I thought was normal, and I thought that like made me a happier, better person that people liked more. I had dated around some in college, and I had just broken up with someone, and I was super vulnerable, and I was drinking pretty heavily at that time, and I had connected with a football player at MTSU, and one thing leads to another, and he ends up raping me, and it kind of became this huge thing because since he was a football player, it was like all over the news, like all over like all the MTSU like Twitter accounts, and everyone was like sticking up for this guy and talking like trash about me and calling me a liar online and stuff. And that like really affected me more than I thought it could. I really spiraled. I was already struggling with an addiction, and then I felt like I also had to cope. And so it was kind of like this double whammy type of thing, where I was like drinking to cope, but also drinking to feed this addiction that was starting to like blow up in my face. In 2020, right before COVID, I moved back home just because COVID times were happening. No one really knew what was going on. And, the same old thing, just, drinking and hiding it from my parents. And, I was still nannying even through COVID, but my addiction had gotten so crazy. That's when I started to like drink on the job. I was watching little kids, but I didn't care. I really had no regard for those kids or for the parents that I was nannying for, whether that meant me driving the kids while I was plastered. I didn't care as long as I had my alcohol in my system. I was drinking probably like 30 to 40 shots a day. I had gotten fired from my nannying job, obviously, and so I was working at a gym, and my shift was I had to be there at like 4:30 a.m., and so I'd have to set alarms like early enough in the morning at like 3 to, start my drinking, because like if I didn't, I'd be showing up to work like throwing up or shaking, or I just remember like having some of the worst withdrawals ever, to the point of like I couldn't walk. I had no control over my hands. There'd be moments where like, I had to get alcohol in my system to feel normal and to stop the withdrawals, but like I couldn't hold a bottle. So I would have to like put my mouth on a bottle and just tip my head upside down and chug as much as I could. I ended up like having, psycho freakouts at the gym job because my depression and anxiety, I guess, were just like through the roof because I was drowning my sorrows in alcohol, and ended up getting fired from that job. And so I guess about 2 weeks later, it was around 9 a.m. I had just gone to the liquor store. I had 2 pints of vodka in my purse, like ready for the morning. I guess I was slurring my words like early in the morning to my parents, and I like couldn't hold a conversation with my parents. And my mom like came upstairs. She like saw the vodka in my purse, and I just will never forget. She just looked at me and she was like, what is going on? What is wrong with you?
There was one morning, I think it was around 10 in the morning, I just went up to her room and she said, come in. She was drunk at 10 o'clock in the morning, in my home, under my roof, knowing how the discussions and the promises that she had previously made. So that was the last day, and I said, JoJo, I love you with all my heart. Give me your car keys, because we own her car. Give me the phone, we pay for your phone. Out you go. And it was the most awful thing as a mum I've ever had to experience, but I think our whole family in retrospect can all agree that that was the best thing that we've ever done for JoJo.
I knew I had to do something or I was gonna lose my family forever. I was on the road to death 100%. During rehab, it was so cool to experience like actual genuine laughter for the first time. I found out that I can be myself and like talk to people and make friends and laugh and cry and feel raw and real emotions without being under the influence of a substance. And that was so cool to me because that wasn't something that I was used to at all. So now I have time to do things that I actually love. I found a really big passion for working out and exercise. That has like saved my mental health so much. Something that I never used to have in my addiction was goals. It feels really good to actually have goals again and, dreams.
Yeah, incredibly proud of Jo, but I've always been proud of Jo. Loved her the same when she was going through these moments in her life from, I would really say, 17 to really just a year and a half ago.
Recovery has given me such a new outlook on life. It restored my relationship with God, who, I truly believe God saved my life and He did for me what I could not do for myself, which was save me from the chains of addiction. And I'm so thankful to have that back in my life. It's been such a game changer in my recovery. And to just anyone else who doesn't see that for themselves or is just crippled by fear of what living a sober life might look like, I just want to tell that person just to hold on a little bit longer and like, it can happen for you too. If it can happen for me, it can happen for you. And there's just so much beauty. You just got to have a little bit of faith to walk through that door. And you can achieve this life that is so beautiful and just full of so many blessings and so much restoration and freedom. And you don't have to live that way anymore.
Oh, here she is.
Hey, Jo. I love you.
Love you. Love you, Dad.
Love you, sweetheart.
Did you cry a little bit?
I might have. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Right.
Is that good?
Cheers.